The movie opens with an elderly man, Paul Edgecombe, waking suddenly from a dream, his face filled with unease. A chilling whisper lingers in his mind. You love your sister? You make any noise, you know what happens. Shaken but composed, Paul gets out of bed, washes his face, and starts his day. The setting is a quiet nursing home in Louisiana. Paul, despite the strict rules, has a habit of taking long walks every day, something that isn't exactly allowed. He doesn't seem to care. With a piece of leftover, cold bread in hand, he strolls towards an old cottage near the home. There's something about that place, something important, but the movie doesn't reveal what just yet. One evening, Paul and his friends gather in the common room, watching television. They flip through the channels, looking for something interesting, when they land on the classic film Top Hat. The moment Paul sees it, his expression changes. His eyes welled up with tears, and before anyone could react, he got up and left the room, stepping outside into the cool night air. Concerned, his friend Elaine follows him. She gently asks if the movie is what upset him. Paul hesitates for a moment, as if deciding whether or not to speak. Then, with a deep breath, he finally begins to tell his story. The movie shifts as Paul Edgecombe begins to recount his past, taking us back to 1935, during the Great Depression. At that time, Paul was a prison guard at Cold Mountain Penitentiary, overseeing death row, where prisoners awaited execution. Most prisons called it the Last Mile, but Cold Mountain had a different name for it, the Green Mile, named after the faded lime-colored floor that stretched through the block. The executions were carried out using an electric chair, known to the guards as Old Sparky. Paul wasn't alone in his duties. He worked alongside Brutus Brutal Howell, Harry Terwilliger, Bill Dodge, and Dean Stanton, all professional and fair men. But there was also Percy Wetmore, a sadistic, power-hungry guard with a fierce temper. Nobody liked him, but because of his family connections to the governor, they had no choice but to tolerate him. At the time, Paul was dealing with a painful urinary infection, the worst he had ever experienced. Every trip to the restroom felt like passing razor blades, making his days on the mile even more unbearable. That was also the year that John Coffey arrived at Cold Mountain. Coffey was a massive, towering man, convicted of the rape and murder of 2 young white girls. His size alone made him intimidating, but the moment he spoke, it was clear he was different. He was shy, soft-spoken, and emotional, nothing like the violent criminals Paul had seen before. As he was placed in his cell, Coffey muttered something strange. "I couldn't help it, boss. I tried to take it back, but it was too late." Paul didn't understand what he meant.